How do we know when it's time to release people? How do we know when it's time for us to stop trying? Now, if you have been around here for a while, you know that I talk a lot around communication. I talk a lot about self-accountability, but there is a point where sometimes we have to stop trying. So I wanted to talk about that because I don't believe in just cutting people off. I don't think that is the way we should go, but there are signs that tell us when it is time to release and stop trying. So this is a conversation that is probably overdue because I talk a lot about self-accountability and talk a lot about what we need to do better in order to have relationships that really matter at work and at home. Today, I'm going to flip the switch a little bit, and I want us to dive into the signs that we receive when it is time to stop trying. How the relationship morphs into where we feel we've done all we can, but have we actually done everything we can? So we're going to dive into all of this today. I'm super excited to have this live with you. So thank you. Let me know where you're coming in from. Good morning. Good morning. Let me know where you're coming in from. Hey, Rob. Good morning. And so we're going to dive deep into this topic. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica Rivera. I love to help high achieving people master their communication, master their influence, and master the way that they have difficult conversation. To me, this is so important. When you master your communication, you could actually change your life. You actually change the way the world around you because your word has so much power and your influence has so much power and the way you show up has a lot of power. So really understanding us first so that then we can create the external world that we want. Good morning. Good morning. Let me know where you're coming in from. I really wanted us to talk about this because I think it's overdue for us to talk about when do we release people? When do we get to that point where we've actually done everything we can potentially do? Or that's how we feel. And many times we feel like we've done everything, but we haven't. I literally asked you this morning when you were coming on. Here I am. I haven't even seen that message, but good morning. Good morning. Okay. So I think our brains are wired to fix things, right? So when especially with people that we care about and we love, or people at work that we think are in charge of our relationships, we're wired to want to fix things. I came to the realization that everybody's not my mission. Everybody's not my mission. And some people are living in old stories that I can't help them get out of. And they're living in old versions of themselves I can't help them get out of. And they're living in old versions of me that I can't help them get out of. So how do we know when it's time to give? How do we know have you ever been in a relationship where you just felt it was one-sided? You felt like you were trying it all. You've done it all. Have you ever been in a relationship where you just felt like, I don't know what else to do? See, when we're in those relationships, I feel like we probably are forcing things. At least that's what it was for me. I remember one day when I decided, when the person had been telling me, you're forcing it to go this way, just relax. Just let it go the way it's supposed to go. And I realized, wait, that person might be right. I am forcing it. And when I decided to stop forcing it, everything changed, not in the way that I wanted it to, but it changed for the better. So really understanding, okay, where am I? So I talk a lot about self-accountability. I talk a lot around making sure that your communication is on point, but really understanding, it's like I'm doing a whole masterclass on the art of understanding. And it's really about understanding others so that you can have better influence, but it is also about understanding yourself. It is also about understanding you. And so here are some signs that I want us to go through that you can look out for to really realize, do I need to stop trying? I want us to think about, number one, we're always taking self-accountability, right? We are always looking in the mirror. And so I always, in the back of my mind, I try to think, okay, I know things are going wrong when I feel like I have to justify, when I feel like I have to explain, and when I feel like I'm like over explaining and trying to get people to my side. That's when I always stop and think to myself, okay, where am I? What is it that needs to be calibrated? And so the first sign I want you to think of when you're the only one taking accountability, when you're the only one every single time you're like, oh, it's my fault, or they're trying to explain to you that it's your fault. I'm giving us a little sneak peek into the art of understanding, but we're really talking about how do you know when you need to let go? How do you know when you need to stop trying? Because we are wired to try and fix all of these relationships. And sometimes we're a little too hard on ourselves. I'm all about accountability, but I'm never about beating ourselves up. I'm all about accountability, but I'm never about beating ourselves up because we get nowhere with that. I want you to think about that person, and it could be you, that is not taking accountability. So let me get into the story. Let me give you a story. Okay, so I had a client that called me one day and she's like, this person, I think it was, her significant other, never says sorry. He did something so wrong and he's not going to apologize, versus her, she always apologizes. Okay, so I'm listening, and I'm all about self-accountability. So she says her spouse or her significant other never apologizes. Never says I'm sorry, where she always says I'm sorry. Now, she also tells me how great he is. He's amazing and he does all these things. He did this one thing wrong. So I started asking her, what are you apologizing for? And she explains to me what she does, and she always apologizes. Yet she goes ahead and does the same thing over again. So she'll apologize and she'll acknowledge she did something wrong. Then she does the same thing again. So I asked her, what's an apology? What's a real apology? Will you guys tell me, what is a real apology? Is it I'm sorry? Or what's a real apology? What does a real apology mean? And what does a real apology look like? That's what I asked her, right? Because I am not one of those people, right? My family knows, my sister knows, right? I'm not one of those people that's just going to sit here and coddle you. No, I'm going to let you know when it's time for you to look in the mirror, right? One thing wrong over and over again ruins relationships 100%, because a real apology is changed behavior. It's not, I'm sorry. So she's calling me, telling me how her significant other is not apologizing and won't see where they're wrong. Yet you go ahead and you do the same thing over and over again, but you admit you're wrong. I'm like, no, that's not how this goes. That is not how this goes. You continue to do the same thing over and over again. Yeah, he's rebelling, because at the same time, she was telling me how great he is. But it was in that moment where I was able to put the mirror up to herself, and she was like, damn. Yeah, I guess you're right. She never realized it, because we get stuck in our own heads. We get stuck in our own stories. We get stuck in us being right and them being wrong. So this could be for you. This could be for you either way. Maybe you're the one that needs to take a look in the mirror, or maybe you're the one that needs to release and stop trying. I don't know. I don't know where you are. But either way, this could be for you. So I want you to think about it from both angles, because many times we think we're right, but really what we need to do is look in the mirror. So the number one thing I want you to look for is, good morning. Do you think that some just love confusion? Honestly, I think we get addicted to chaos. I think we get addicted to chaos 100%. And I do think we get addicted to chaos. And that's where we need to take that strong look in the mirror. For example, I don't know if you were on the line, but I was saying how this was many years ago, but there was a situation where they were like, Jess, you're forcing it. Like, you're forcing it. Just let it go, relax. And I said to myself, finally, I was like, what? Am I forcing it? And maybe I was at that time addicted to that chaos, right? That kind of that pull and that push. And finally, when I woke up and I was like, wait, am I forcing? Can I just let it go? And what does forcing it even mean? And if this is not ease and flow, I don't want it anymore. And when I went to the person and said, you know what? I think you're right. I think I am trying to force it. But they were like, wait a second. No, come on. Because they were also addicted to the chaos, right? So I think we all get addicted to that chaos. We get in that like hamster wheel and we're just back in it. And let me tell you, when you get out of it and you get back in it, you're just like, oh shit, I'm back here. Let me get back out. So it's really up to you. When I talk about that self-accountability, that's on you. Addicted to chaos or trying to meet our attachment needs 100%. Yes, in an unhealthy way because we don't recognize our pattern and we are on autopilot. Yes, Ashley, love that. 100%. 100%. We are operating on autopilot. That is part of the problem. So when you can stop yourself, whether that be through meditating, whether that be through really looking at the situation for what it is, having that difficult conversation with yourself. So when you look at, you can do this now. Stop and look at your chaotic relationships now. Stop and look at your current, and maybe they're not a lot of chaos, but it's like relationships that they're not going the way you want to. Stop and look at them now. What part are you playing? What old story are you stuck in? What part do you have to release? And this is the hard work that you have to do for yourself. And so when you realize, okay, let's say you have done the work and let's say you're just like, okay, I don't want to be stuck in that story anymore. This is where it gets really challenging because now you're like, okay, self-accountability, let me figure me out. And you're allowing the people to just do themselves. And you only want things with ease and flow. That's me. I only want things that come to me with ease and flow. Every relationship, work, home, or otherwise, I want everything to be ease and flow. So let's just say you're there. Now, how do you release these people that you love and you're like all butterflies and rainbows over here? I think it's really looking at, okay, are they also taking accountability? Are they able to meet you where you are? And many times I say we have to meet people where they are as well. But if they are not open, then what are you going to do? Relive that story forever? Yeah, I can't do that. So it's really about you understanding what is it that I want. And the first sign is, are you taking accountability? And then is the other person also willing to have that open conversation about where does this accountability lie? Where have we both played a part in destroying this relationship, in having this relationship not go the way it should go? So is the person willing or not willing to take accountability? That's a question you could ask yourself. Have you been having the same argument, discussion, fight over and over and over again? See, one of the things that I was thinking about yesterday was like, I went to therapy for many years. And it's like, what is this person doing to help themselves? What is this person doing to help themselves is a question I ask myself. For me, it was, can I do this every day for the rest? Can I do this every day for the rest of my life? It was a partner with empty apologies and totally different values. And I was like, nope. I'm going to bring this up again. And I left. Wow. It sounds like you're happy with your choice. It sounds like you're happy with your choice, and that is all that matters. But I'm with you. I was there. But even with my son, when we were both kids, but when he was a kid, when he was a teenager, I remember thinking, this is not the relationship that I wanted. This is not the relationship I envisioned with my teenage son. Because I was always super close to my parents. My parents are just like, they're the best. They're super cool. And I remember thinking when he became a teenager, this is not what I imagined. Like I was a young mom. I thought we were going to be like cool. And but the thing is, I was like a hover mom. I wasn't as cool as my parents. I was more strict. And I remember telling him, like, let's go to therapy. And we did. We went to therapy together. So I think really understanding what you want out of the relationship, how important it is, where you want it to go, having clarity there is going to be important. And that's going to be a first step. And Ashley was mentioning for her, she just asked herself, like, can I do this for the rest of my life? And realized she couldn't. She couldn't do it for the rest of her life. So really understanding, but before even that, Ashley, I don't know what happened for you, but I know for me, especially where I'm at now, it's like, sometimes we leave relationships prematurely because we still haven't fixed ourselves. And so I'll give it to you in a work situation. So in a work situation, when I have people that are like, I'm thinking of leaving because this place is XYZ, I always ask them, can you use this as a training ground to fix you? Because you still have to take you with you. You still have to take you with you. So I'm always like, okay, how can you fix the relationship, the situation you're in now, so that when you go somewhere else, you've already learned about you, what boundaries maybe you have to put in, how you can be a better communicator, how you can show up for yourself, how you can articulate your value. And that goes in every single relationship. How did I answer your question? I love that I'm in your head. I love that I'm in your head today, but how did I answer your question? Tell me. Oh, what about when your kids do this? Say sorry and don't change. Oh, okay. Yeah, girl. My kids are going to be kids. I do understand that with young people, that frontal cortex, that frontal lobe does not develop until they're like 25, I think they say. And around that age, my oldest, I feel like it's weird with kids, right? Because it's like you have your babies, my babies that are amazing until they become teenagers and they become a hot mess. And then in their 20s, they come right back around. At least that's been my situation. But yeah, listen, we've all been there. You have to give grace because I know I was there when I didn't listen to everything my parents said. So we still have to give some grace when it comes to the kids. We have to give grace when it comes to everybody, right? And that's really where the art of understanding comes in. How do I make sure that I can understand you so that we can have a better relationship? But there does come a time in some relationships where you have to realize, I've done all I could do. And the relationship is going to change. And we talk about this emotional bank account, right? We all have an emotional bank account. And over the years, how are you depositing into people's emotional bank account? And how are they depositing into yours? And when you think about that, right? So the more I make deposits into your emotional bank account, when I make a withdrawal, you're going to give me more grace. Typically, you're going to give me more grace because you know that's not typically like her. I've made more deposits into your emotional bank account. And so when you think about the emotional bank deposits people have made into your bank account, what does that look like? Have you communicated that? We get stuck in relationships where we're giving, and are we receiving? Are we allowing ourselves to receive would be a question I would ask, because I think I was in a position. I remember my sister told me one time, I was talking to her and I told her one time, like, yeah, I can do it all, but who the hell wants to do it all? Nobody wants to do it all. Nobody wants to do it all. And she was like, you don't act like you need help. So I wasn't giving them the opportunity to give me help, to offer help, to receive, which is very different now. I'm in very much receiving. So the number one sign is, are you taking accountability and are they taking accountability? So first, that's the first place to start. Then I want you to think about patterns. We all have them. Now, that's one of the things I look for. Whenever something is going wrong, I look for the pattern on what is this here to teach me? What is this here to teach me? And when we can look at the patterns that we have put ourselves in, the patterns that we have set up, then we're growing. And I remember, just happened last week, I told somebody, I don't think you realize how negative you are. And they were like, and I'm like, yeah, you're a little negative. Because sometimes we don't even realize the words that are coming out of our mouth. Sometimes we don't realize the things that we are saying. And it's nice to have a person like me around where I'm just like, I think you're a little negative. And the person appreciated me pointing that out because they didn't realize we get stuck in these old patterns, that we get stuck in these old things that we say that we don't even realize that we're doing. So number one, is there self-accountability on both sides, your side and the other person's side? Yes or no? And if yes for you and no for them, okay, now you got to look at that. Number two, are there patterns that never change? And are they open to the feedback? Like that person that I was like, do you ever notice that you can be a little negative? They could have been, no, and just not heard me at all. But they were like, real? And they wanted me to tell them, give me an example. And so it ends up being a really nice conversation. But is that person open to really realizing where their patterns are? The third, and this is a good one, and I want you to think about this one. The third is, does this person have a problem for every freaking solution? You know those people? I know those people. They have a problem for every freaking solution. Everything's a problem. Yeah, but. Yeah, but. Yeah, that'll work. But what about this? Or I cannot with those people. And words have so much power. 100%. Our words have so much power. And get annoyed when people are being negative, but I don't call them out on it. So I end up having to observe the negativity. I want us to let's think of a different way to say that, because I don't like to say I'm calling you out on it. I would just say it's an observation, right? Because calling you out on it's like, damn, you negative. It could go over like nasty. That's what it sounds like to me in my mind. I'm just like, the other thing is I'll say it, I'll put it out there, but if you don't receive it, I'm okay with that too. So it was just like, hey, do you realize you could be a little negative sometimes? And they're like, what? And when I gave examples, they were open to it. They were like, okay, yeah, I guess I can see it that way. I guess I see why you see it that way. So it's more like with a kind heart, letting them know that they can, because I don't think that they even didn't realize it. So I think it's about us also changing the idea that we're calling somebody out and we're just like observing. Amanda, yes, I love it. Taking accountability and making those changes to better human beings. Yes, and it starts with us first. And having that kind heart goes a long way, because it completely changes your tone. It completely changes your tone and your energy behind it. We could change our tone, but if our energy is shit, it's going to come across. So it really changes the tone and the energy behind it. Having that kind heart of being like, hey, you come across a little negative. Let me give you an example, and give a super specific example. It's really helpful if you do it in the moment, but it's most helpful if you release, like, meaning like you're not attached to the outcome. So don't be attached to the outcome. So number one is self-accountability and really recognizing, does that other person take accountability as well? That's number one. Number two is really observing the patterns for yourself and seeing if that person is stuck in the same patterns, right? Because that could be a sign that you need to just release it and stop trying. Number three is, does this person problem for every freaking solution? You know those people. I know those people. We all know those people. Yes. Oh, I'm glad you like this topic. And then number four, because before I say number four, what I don't want us to do is just be like, I'm cutting that person off. I'm just going to, because to me, that is a sign of immaturity. To me, that if you have not had a conversation with them and you're just cutting people off, to me, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign about you, babe. So definitely don't want you to do that. Definitely do not want you to do that. I believe that people are here to show me more about me. What are you here to teach me about me? But that also doesn't mean that we're here to save everybody and fix everybody, because we're not here to do that. We're really not here to fix anybody, but we're not here to save everybody. Everybody's not my mission. Everybody's not my purpose. No. The last thing is when you're around them, does it feel draining? Your body will tell you. We've all been around those people. We've all been around those people that it's, I can only take that person in doses because they drain the shit out of me. I have had to let those people go. And it's not that I don't love them, and it's not that I don't care about them, and it's not that I don't wish them well. All of those things. But if you are draining my energy, and if it feels like, I can only take that person in doses, and love you, but I'm going to love you from over here. So really, those are the 4 things that I start asking myself. Yeah, those are the 4 things that I think it's so important, because we get stuck in wanting to save relationships just because they're old, because I've known this person forever, wanting to save relationships because they're family, and because, at least I grew up, right? Family is everything, and family is everything. But if you are draining the shit out of my energy, then I cannot. I have to protect my peace. And so when people say they protect their peace and they're just cutting people off, I don't believe in that either. But really understanding you first and what you want and what you have done to try and fix this relationship is key. And so if someone is living in the idea of who they thought I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last night, because this morning I read a book and it changed me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm changing daily. So if you think you know me from 10 years ago, I'm sorry, boo. I'm a whole different me. If you think you know me from 5 years ago, I'm sorry, my love. I've changed. I've changed. Yep. That book changed me. That podcast changed me. That class, that coach, that therapy, all of it changed me. So if you're living in a version of me that you knew whenever, that's not me anymore. That's not me anymore. And I'm okay if you don't understand that. So it's really understanding you first, not just cutting people off to cut people off. Yes, okay, I'm going to come back in these comments. I'm coming back in these comments. Yes, exactly. Exactly. You need to tell them, like, whatever version you have of me in your head, that ain't it no more. That ain't it no more because of that. And you should tell them too, here's a book. Here's a book. Here's my therapist number. Here's a podcast to listen to. By the way, you can listen to my podcast, which is Success Unscripted. So let me go back into these comments. Hold on. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Let go and let God. Protect your peace at all costs. Yes. Protect your peace at all costs. But and really recognize where you are contributing. Because I think that's where the magic truly happens. When you're like, oh shit, I was part of the chaos. Oh, I was part of that problem. Oh, I contributed to this shit. And this is how. Because when we start looking at our own patterns, because I do believe it starts with us, when we start looking at our own pattern, that's where the magic truly starts happening. Because now it's, oh wait, I'm repeating that again. Then we can easily recognize, oh shit, I'm repeating that. And that's where you could stop. And that's where everything around you starts to change because you start to change. So yes, protect your peace at all costs and also learn where you are part of that. Okay? It's like when we realize we're the problem, we also can realize we are the solution. You are the solution. I'm the solution. We're all a solution. Yes. I just want you to do two things that I hate. They do other stuff and talk to other people in the background. I feel guilty to say something, but it's so annoying. So yeah, I think when we feel guilty to say something or we're hesitant to say something, I would look at the energy you have behind it. What's the energy you have behind it? Or am I trying to be kind? Am I trying to like really understanding my energy behind whatever I'm trying to say will actually come out a lot better when we understand energy that we have behind what we're saying. Period. Change is a great thing. 100%. 100%. They keep introducing themselves, right? Like they keep introducing themselves to the old me. Babe, I'm not here anymore. That old version of me ain't here no more. Hello. No, it's not. No, it is not. So my podcast, and it's on all like streaming channels, it's Success Unscripted. I'm also doing a class on the art of understanding. Think about it. When you feel understood, you're more inclined to really think and listen to what someone else is saying. So the art of understanding, of course, always understanding ourselves, understanding others. Stephen Covey, which I am certified in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the habits is seek to understand before being understood. Seek to understand before being understood, which is really challenging because we get taught to justify, to explain, to really bring people to our side. We don't really get taught to sit there and listen and try to understand someone else first. And when you can do that, your impact and your influence skyrockets at home, with your personal relationships, at work, everywhere. Okay, so I'm back in the comment. I've had some friends that may be draining, but only situational, not all of them, not all the time. Oh, okay. I found me being there for them, gave me a different perspective and saved one of their lives by listening. Okay, 100%. If you could be there and listen to them. So it's really up to you. I'm not saying every relationship. I'm not saying all the time. It's really up to you to make that decision of when is it time for me to stop trying. And when I feel like I'm giving, I believe that relationships need to have reciprocity. Even those with my children. I believe all relationships should have reciprocity, right? You give, I give, you give, I give. Maybe you give once. You know what I'm saying? It's like that emotional bank account. How many deposits am I making into your emotional bank account? How many deposits are you making into my emotional bank account? It shouldn't be tit for tat, but it also should never be one-sided. It shouldn't be tit for tat, but it should never be one-sided. I am trying to rescue a loved one who is destroying herself. Oh, I'm so sorry, babe. But is destroying me in the process. Yeah. Yes. Relatives get involved. If family drama is the worst. Family drama can be really challenging and really like hard on the heart. So I would say when you said that to me, right? When you said, I'm trying to rescue a loved one who's destroying herself and in the process destroying me. The vision I got in my mind was two people in the water, and one of them is pulling the other one down because she's trying to save herself, right? So I want you to be careful and know that you have to protect your energy and you have to understand what you need first. You have to understand what you need first. One of the questions I would be asking myself is, what am I attached to? What title am I attached to? Whether it be like great aunt, great cousin, great blah, blah, blah. And how is it that you think you have to show up in order to fill that attachment that you have to whatever title, whatever vision that you think they have of you? I would ask myself those questions. And then try to figure out how you can act accordingly. And really, we have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first, right? We have to have the life jacket first before we can save anybody. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Experience this with some family too. Yeah. I think a lot of it is patience. Yes. I think a lot of it is patience. But I actually think we need to start with us first. I don't think we ask ourselves, what do I need enough? What do you need in this moment? What do you need? Now, what do they need? What do you need? Then you can give to somebody else. Yes, I'm so sorry to hear about your mom. But this does go back to one of my points from before, which is, are they finding a problem for every solution? Yeah, she blocks the help. Okay. So if they have a problem for every solution and they don't want to help themselves, babe, you can never help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. Never. And that's the work I'm in, right? And so if a person comes to me, this is why I love the work so much, because some of my clients are in here, Jasmine's in here. When they come to me, they know, listen, dude, we're the problem, right? So the people that come to me and work with me, they're not blocked. They're not like, oh, I'm not the problem. Everybody else is the problem. They're like, no, I'm tired of my own shit. And that's always me. Like, I am tired of my own BS. So how do I make sure that I'm fixing me first? And we love our people, right? We love our family, but if they don't want to fix themselves, there is nothing we can do. So if you don't want to go to therapy, you don't want to go for a walk, you don't want to get some sunlight, you don't want to do any of these things, there isn't anything I can do. And we will, to your point, drown ourselves in the process. We're over here trying to help somebody else and we're going to take ourselves down. So we have to be careful. I think that there's room for us to show love and give love and still protect our peace. I know I've been there. Several times. Different people, but I've been there. We're also the solution. That's right, babe. When we realize we're the problem, we are also the solution. Yes. Jasmine said I should have named my podcast, You're the Problem. You're the We typically are. We are typically the problem, but we're also the solution. We have to be able to support them and give them love, but know that, think about it. Anything you've ever wanted for you, you have to do it for you. I could sit here and I could cheerlead for you the whole time, but you still have to do it for you. Anytime I've gone through something, I had to do it for me. People could give me advice. People can cheerlead for me. People can do a whole bunch, but I still have to do it for me. And really understanding, Patricia, how you allow that to release with love, release with still caring about them, release with still letting them know, whether it be a text every morning, letting them know, hey, I love you. I'm here for you. I love you. I'm here for you. Whatever it is, that little thing that can give them a glimmer of hope, send them books, send them podcasts, let them know, I would love for you to go to therapy today. Whatever that looks like, I don't know, but I think we can release people, and then sending them away with love is usually the best part. It's usually how we continue to feel good about ourselves. So really understanding what that is for you is probably a good key. But you cannot allow someone else's trauma, someone else's anything to bring you down. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at for sure. That's right. They have to want it. And this is a conversation I've had with many people over the course of my life. I can't want it more than you. I want you to be successful, but I can't want it more than you. I want you to be better, but I can't want it more than you. I want you to do all these things, but I can't want it more than you want it. So I am going to go. Thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. So definitely subscribe and leave a review. I would love that. Thank you so much. It's one of my babies this year. I just started it this year, and it has been a long time in the works. Thank you so much for everybody being here. What was your biggest takeaway? Anyone who's here right now, let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was, because when we can record what our biggest takeaway, actually stick with us longer, because we've all had that aha moment. And then we're like, oh, my whole life is going to change because of this one thing that I learned. And then we go back to regular life. So put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. Always the best insights first thing in the morning. Yes. All right, babes. We will talk soon. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was in the comments. And if you want to join me for the art of understanding, to increase your influence, get to know other people better so that you can know yourself better and increase your influence. Remember, seeking to understand before being understood is a habit for highly successful people. All right. Not alone. Yeah. I think we all have family. Shit. All right. Have a great day, babes. We'll talk soon.